The moment Sarah Mitchell walked into my office that Tuesday morning, I knew something was different. My usually composed powerhouse of a boss had red-rimmed eyes and was clutching a tissue. "James, I need to ask you something completely inappropriate," she said, closing my office door. "What came next would change both our lives forever. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that will touch your heart. Your support means everything. I never expected my life to take such a dramatic turn at 42. Being a single dad to my 10-year-old daughter Lily after losing my wife to cancer 3 years ago was challenging enough. But when your boss, the CEO of the company you've worked at for 15 years, asks you to help her have a baby, life gets complicated in ways you never imagined. Sarah was 39 and had devoted her life to building Mitchell Enterprises from the ground up. She'd sacrificed relationships, turned down marriage proposals, and postponed starting a family. Now, facing the reality of her biological clock and a recent devastating breakup with her fiancé who didn't want children, she was desperate. "I've been diagnosed with diminished ovarian reserve," she explained, her voice cracking. "The doctors say I have maybe a year left to conceive naturally. I've considered sperm donors, but the thought of raising a child completely alone terrifies me." I sat there, stunned. Sarah and I had always maintained a strictly professional relationship. Sure, we'd developed mutual respect over the years, and she'd been incredibly supportive after Maria's death, giving me flexible hours and understanding when Lily needed me. But this request crossed every professional boundary imaginable. "Why me?" I asked, genuinely confused. Sarah's eyes met mine. "Because you're the most decent man I know, James. I've seen how you are with Lily. You're kind, responsible, and intelligent. I'm not asking for a relationship, just your genetic material and maybe some co-parenting support. I know it's crazy, but I'm running out of options." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Sarah's request and what it would mean for Lily and me. The next morning, I found Lily making her own lunch for school, peanut butter and banana sandwich, cut diagonally just like her mother used to make. "Dad, are you okay? You look tired," she said, her perceptive brown eyes studying my face. "Just thinking about some grown-up stuff, sweetheart." She nodded sagely. "Is it about Ms. Mitchell? You said her name in your sleep last night. Kids miss nothing." I sat down beside her. "Actually, yes. Ms. Mitchell wants to have a baby, but she doesn't have anyone to help her." Lily considered this while carefully placing her sandwich in her lunchbox. "That's sad. Everyone deserves to have a family if they want one." Out of the mouths of babes. That simple statement from my daughter crystallized something for me. Sarah deserved a chance at motherhood, and maybe, just maybe, there was more to this situation than I initially thought. The following week, I invited Sarah to dinner at our home. Watching her interact with Lily was revealing. They immediately connected over a shared love of puzzles and astronomy. Sarah helped Lily with her science homework, showing patience and genuine interest I rarely saw in adults interacting with children. After Lily went to bed, Sarah and I sat on the porch swing. "I've been thinking about your request," I said quietly. "And?" Her voice was barely audible. "I think we should talk about what this would actually look like. Not just the conception, but everything after. If I'm going to be this child's biological father, I want to be their actual father too." Sarah's eyes widened. "You mean co-parenting? A real partnership?" "Yes. I'm not interested in being a donor who disappears. If we do this, we do it together. Lily gets a sibling, you get your baby, and I." I paused, surprising myself with the emotion welling up. I get to be a father again, from the beginning this time. That conversation was the first of many. We spent months discussing every detail, legal arrangements, living situations, parenting philosophies, financial responsibilities. We consulted therapists, lawyers, and most importantly, Lily, who was thrilled at the prospect of being a big sister. We decided to try artificial insemination first. The process was clinical and awkward, but we approached it with maturity and respect. After 2 failed attempts, we were both discouraged. "Maybe this isn't meant to be," Sarah said one evening as we sat in her kitchen after another negative pregnancy test. "Third time's the charm," I reassured her, though I was beginning to have doubts myself. During those months of trying, something unexpected happened. Sarah became a regular fixture in our lives. She and Lily developed their own traditions: Saturday morning pancakes, stargazing on clear nights. Sarah started attending Lily's soccer games and helped her prepare for her science fair. And somewhere along the way, Sarah and I developed a friendship that went beyond our professional relationship or our baby agreement. The night we found out the 3rd insemination had failed, Sarah broke down completely. "I've failed at the one thing I thought I could control," she sobbed. "I built a company from nothing, but I can't do this one basic biological function." I held her as she cried, feeling her pain as if it were my own. That night changed something between us. The walls we'd carefully maintained came down, and we talked until dawn about our fears, dreams, and regrets. 2 weeks later, Sarah called me at work, her voice trembling with excitement. "James, can you come to my office now?" I found her sitting at her desk, staring at something in her hands. A pregnancy test. With 2 pink lines. "But how?" "The procedure failed," I stammered. Sarah blushed. "Remember that night I came over to help Lily with her science project? After she went to bed, we shared that bottle of wine and..." The memory flooded back. We'd both been emotional after discussing Maria and how much I missed being part of a complete family. One thing had led to another, and we'd spent the night together, agreeing the next morning it was a one-time comfort that wouldn't affect our arrangement. Except it had changed everything. The pregnancy was difficult. Sarah suffered from severe morning sickness and had to step back from some of her CEO responsibilities. I found myself staying at her place more often, making sure she ate properly and took her prenatal vitamins. Lily appointed herself official baby preparation supervisor, researching everything from nursery designs to the safest car seats. At the 20-week ultrasound, we learned we were having a boy. Sarah squeezed my hand so hard it hurt as we watched our son's heart beating on the screen. "A boy," she whispered. "James, we're having a son." The "we" wasn't lost on me. Somewhere along this journey, we had truly become a "we." As Sarah's belly grew, so did our feelings for each other. Neither of us had planned it, both terrified of complicating our already complex situation. But by the 7th month, it became impossible to ignore. "I think I'm falling in love with you," I admitted one night as we assembled the crib in what used to be Sarah's home office. "And it terrifies me." She put down the screwdriver she was holding. "Why does it terrify you?" "Because this wasn't the plan. You wanted a baby, not a relationship. I don't want you to feel obligated to me because of the pregnancy." Sarah moved closer, taking my hands in hers. "James, I've been falling for you since long before this baby. I just never thought you could see me that way. You were still grieving Maria, and I was your boss, and it all seemed impossible. And now? Now I think maybe the universe had a better plan than we did." 2 months later, after 36 hours of labor, our son Ethan was born. Watching Sarah hold him for the first time, exhausted but radiant, I felt a completeness I hadn't experienced since before Maria got sick. Lily was the proudest big sister imaginable, insisting on helping with diaper changes and reading to Ethan every night, even though he was far too young to understand. The first year was a blur of sleepless nights, baby milestones, and navigating our new reality. Sarah took 6 months of maternity leave, then returned to work part-time. I adjusted my schedule to complement hers. We maintained separate homes but spent most nights together, either at her place or mine. The arrangement worked, but it wasn't perfect. Lily started asking why we couldn't all live together permanently. Ethan's first birthday approached, and we found ourselves at another crossroads. "I think we should buy a house together," Sarah suggested one evening as we watched the children play. Ethan was attempting to crawl after his sister, who was encouraging him with a stuffed dinosaur. "Are you sure? That's a big step." She turned to face me. "James, we've done everything backward. We had a baby before we even dated. We're raising 2 children between 2 households. I think we can handle buying real estate together." She was right. We found a beautiful home with enough space for our blended family, with a yard for the kids and home offices for both of us. Moving day was chaotic but joyful. That night, after both children were asleep, Sarah and I sat on the porch of our new home, reminiscent of that night years ago when we first discussed co-parenting. "Did you ever imagine we'd end up here?" she asked, leaning against my shoulder. "Never. But I wouldn't change a thing." Sarah looked up at me. "Really? Not even the completely inappropriate way I propositioned you in your office?" I laughed. "Especially not that part. It makes for a great story." On Ethan's second birthday, with both children helping, I proposed to Sarah in our backyard. She said yes before I could even finish asking. We were married 6 months later in a small ceremony with Lily as maid of honor and Ethan as ring bearer, with considerable assistance from my brother. Life wasn't perfect. We still had challenges, balancing careers and family, helping Lily navigate adolescence, making sure Ethan didn't feel different because of our unconventional beginning. Sarah and I disagreed on parenting approaches sometimes, and we both had moments of doubt and fear. But every night, as I looked at our family, at Lily growing into a compassionate young woman, at Ethan with his curious mind and infectious laugh, at Sarah who had become not just my wife but my partner in every sense, I marveled at how one desperate request had led to such unexpected joy. 5 years after that fateful day in my office, Sarah and I sat in that same building, but now as equal partners in both business and life. Mitchell Reynolds Enterprises had expanded, with a focus on family-friendly policies and work-life balance. "Do you ever regret asking me to help you have a baby?" I asked her as we reviewed quarterly reports. Sarah smiled, the same smile that still made my heart skip. "Only that I didn't ask you sooner." Sometimes the most inappropriate questions lead to the most appropriate answers. Sometimes families are formed in the most unexpected ways. And sometimes, just when you think your story is written, life hands you a blank page and says, "There's more." If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Share it with someone who might need a reminder that family comes in all forms, and that sometimes the most beautiful journeys begin with the courage to ask for what you truly want.